The morning sun cast long shadows across the mining platforms of New Geneva as Colonel Jake Morrison finished his daily inspection of the defense grid. The colony stretched across the rolling hills of Kepler 44 to be like a gleaming jewel, its 2 million inhabitants going about their daily lives without knowing that death was coming from the stars. Morrison had commanded this garrison for 3 years and knew every soldier under his command by name. The defense platforms orbited overhead under Captain Lisa Brooks' watchful eye, their plasma cannons ready to protect the vital mining operations that kept humanity's expansion alive. Morrison walked through the bustling streets of the main settlement, where families lived in comfortable homes built from local stone and imported steel. Children played in the parks while their parents worked in the processing facilities that refined the rare elements found deep in the planet's crust. Dr. Amanda Stone supervised the research stations where scientists studied new mineral deposits that could power humanity's faster-than-light drives for the next century. Everything seemed peaceful and secure in the warm afternoon light. The first warning came from the outer sensor grid at exactly 1400 hours local time. Lieutenant Rodriguez burst into the command center with sweat beading on his forehead. "Sir, we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace at the system's edge," he reported to Morrison. The colonel moved to the main display screen, where dozens of red dots appeared on the tactical map. The ships were unlike anything in the human database, their energy signatures showing power levels that made even the largest human dreadnoughts look like toys. Captain Brooks' voice crackled over the communication system from her orbital command station. "Colonel, these ships are massive. I count at least 40 capital vessels and over 200 smaller craft. Their whole composition is some kind of crystalline material I've never seen before." Morrison felt ice form in his stomach as he realized that this was no pirate raid or border dispute. This was a full-scale invasion by an unknown alien species. The enemy fleet moved with deadly precision toward the inner system. Morrison ordered all civilian transports to begin immediate evacuation procedures while his garrison prepared for battle. Major Ryan Carter coordinated the ground defenses, moving anti-aircraft batteries into position around the main settlements. The soldiers worked with grim efficiency, knowing that their families depended on them holding the line until help could arrive from the nearest human fleet base. When the alien ships entered weapons range, they opened fire without any attempt at communication. Beams of pure energy lanced down from orbit, striking the defense platforms with devastating accuracy. Captain Brooks watched in horror as her carefully maintained shields collapsed under the alien assault. "These weapons are cutting through our defenses like they're made of paper," she reported over the increasingly static-filled communication channels. The first alien fighters entered the atmosphere like falling stars, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Morrison got his first clear look at the enemy through his binoculars and felt his blood run cold. The pilot, visible through the transparent cockpit, had 4 arms and compound eyes that glittered like black diamonds. These were not humans in strange ships, but something completely alien and hostile. "Major." Carter's anti-aircraft guns opened fire on the descending fighters, but the alien craft moved with impossible speed and agility. Their return fire consisted of sonic weapons that shattered concrete and steel with focused sound waves. Buildings began collapsing throughout the city as the alien attack craft strafed the streets with weapons that turned solid matter into dust. Dr. Stone worked frantically in her laboratory to send a distress signal to Earth while the battle raged outside her windows. Her fingers flew over the communication console as she transmitted everything the colony had learned about the attackers. Unknown alien species with superior technology attacking New Geneva. She broadcast on all emergency frequencies, weapons, and defenses far beyond human capabilities. Request immediate military assistance. The transmission cut off as a sonic blast destroyed the communication array on the roof of her building. Morrison led his remaining soldiers in a desperate fighting withdrawal through the burning streets. The alien ground forces had landed and proved to be even more terrifying up close. The insect-like creatures moved with mechanical precision, their 4 arms allowing them to carry multiple weapons while their natural armors seemed to deflect most human bullets. Their leader, a massive creature, standing nearly 8 feet tall, directed the assault with cold intelligence that showed these aliens knew exactly how to break human resistance. Captain Brooks made the hardest decision of her military career. As her orbital platforms fell one by one to the alien bombardment, all surviving ships, this is Brooks. Execute evacuation protocol immediately. We cannot hold the system. Her words carried across the chaos of battle to every human vessel still capable of receiving transmissions. The few surviving transport ships began their escape runs while the alien fleet closed in. For the final assault, the last human defenders made their stand at the spaceport, where civilian evacuees were still boarding the final transport. Morrison and his soldiers held the loading ramps, while families ran for safety under the cover of their sacrifice. Major Carter called in artillery strikes on his own position as alien troops overran the defensive lines. The thunder of explosions mixed with the screams of the dying as New Geneva fell to an enemy that seemed unstoppable. As the final transport ship lifted off with its cargo of refugees, Morrison watched from the ground as his home burned under alien occupation. The crystalline ships now filled the sky like predatory birds while their ground forces began herding human prisoners into work camps. The colonel activated his emergency beacon and sent one last message before capture. New Geneva has fallen. Enemy technology superior in every way. Earth must prepare for invasion. Then the signal died as alien soldiers surrounded his position, and the first great defeat of humanity's war with the Zephyrian Empire became complete. The emergency session in the Global Defense Headquarters lasted 18 hours without a single break. President Michelle Davis sat at the head of the massive oval table, while holographic displays showed the devastating reports flooding in from across human space. New Geneva was gone, along with 3 other border colonies that had fallen to the same alien force. The survivors all told the same terrifying story of crystalline ships and insect-like warriors with technology that made human weapons look like stone tools. General Frank Rodriguez stood before the assembled leaders of Earth's government, with his uniform wrinkled from sleepless nights in the war room. "The situation is worse than we initially calculated," he began, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "These Zephyrians, as the prisoners call them, control most of the eastern spiral arm of our galaxy. Intelligence suggests they have been expanding for over 2 centuries, absorbing or destroying every species they encounter." Admiral Patricia Wells activated the main tactical display, showing the known extent of Zephyrian space. The red zone covered hundreds of star systems in a vast empire that dwarfed human territory. "Their technology is at least 50 years ahead of our best equipment," she reported grimly. "Their energy shields can absorb direct hits from our biggest plasma cannons, while their weapons slice through our armor like a cutting torch through aluminum foil." Senator Rebecca Morgan leaned forward in her chair, her face pale as she studied the casualty reports. "What about our fleet assets? Surely we can mount some kind of defense with our dreadnoughts and battle carriers." The Admiral shook her head. "Slowly. Every engagement has resulted in complete human defeat. Our ships are simply outmatched by their superior firepower and defensive systems." Director Charles Kim of Special Operations had remained silent throughout the briefing, but now he stood and walked to the secure terminal at the side of the room. "There is one option we have not discussed," he said quietly, entering his authorization codes into the classified system. "For the past 15 years, Earth has maintained a program so secret that only 12 people in this room have security clearance to know about it." The lights dimmed as Kim activated a holographic presentation that had never been shown outside of the deepest levels of military intelligence. "Project Thunderbolt began after we recovered alien artifacts from crashed ships and abandoned outposts throughout human space. We reverse-engineered their technology and created something entirely new. Captain Alex Turner stepped forward from where he had been standing at attention near the back of the room. His dress uniform bore ribbons that none of the politicians recognized, decorations for battles that had never appeared in any public record. The drop corps represents humanity's most advanced warriors, Turner explained. Each soldier is equipped with powered exoskeletons that provide enhanced strength and speed, personal energy shields based on captured alien technology, and weapons that bridge the gap between human and Zephyrian capabilities. President Davis studied the holographic display, showing soldiers in sleek, black armor moving through training scenarios that seemed impossible for normal humans to complete. "How many of these elite soldiers do we have?" she asked. Turner consulted his datapad before responding. "Currently operational strength is 8 full battalions, approximately 4,000 soldiers total. Each has undergone 5 years of intensive training and genetic enhancement therapy." Senator Morgan stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the polished floor. "Genetic enhancement? Are you telling us that you have been experimenting on human beings without congressional oversight?" Her voice carried the outrage of someone discovering a fundamental betrayal of democratic principles. General Rodriguez stepped between the senator and the Special Operations Director. Every volunteer underwent the process willingly after full disclosure of the risks and benefits. We needed soldiers capable of fighting enemies with superior technology, and conventional training was not sufficient. He activated another display showing comparative performance metrics. Drop Corps soldiers can operate in environments that would kill normal humans, carry weapons that would break a regular soldier's bones, and move with speed and precision that matches alien capabilities. Kim continued the briefing, despite the political tension filling the room. The enhancement process improves reaction times by 40%, increases muscle density by 60%, and allows for direct neural interface with advanced combat systems. More importantly, psychological conditioning ensures that these soldiers can face alien enemies without the paralyzing fear that has broken regular units. Admiral Wells studied the technical specifications with the eye of someone who understood military hardware. These powered armor suits include stealth capabilities, advanced targeting systems, and weapons that can actually damage Zephyrian equipment. The personal shields should provide protection against their sonic weapons. She paused, calculating possibilities in her head. This could actually work. Captain Turner activated a combat simulation that showed Drop Corps soldiers engaging Zephyrian forces in various scenarios. The key advantage is mobility and surprise. These aliens have grown overconfident after centuries of easy victories. They expect their enemies to fight conventionally, meeting their superior firepower with inferior firepower and losing predictably. President Davis watched the simulation with growing interest as the human soldiers used speed and stealth to outmaneuver their alien opponents. "What kind of mission parameters are you proposing?" she asked Turner. "A covert insertion behind enemy lines to gather intelligence and test our capabilities against live targets. New Geneva would be the logical choice, since we know the terrain and have intelligence on enemy dispositions." Director Kim brought up detailed plans that had been prepared for exactly this scenario. 2 battalions of Drop Corps soldiers could be inserted via stealth transport during the planet's longest night cycle. Their mission would be intelligence gathering, equipment capture, and preparation for a larger liberation force. The debate that followed lasted 6 more hours, as politicians wrestled with the ethics of secret super soldier programs, while military leaders argued for immediate action. Senator Morgan continued to raise concerns about constitutional oversight, while General Rodriguez pressed for rapid deployment before the Zephyrians could consolidate their hold on the captured colonies. In the end, the devastating reality of humanity's situation overrode political concerns. Admiral Wells presented intercepted communications, suggesting that the Zephyrians viewed humans as suitable only for slave labor or complete extermination. "We are facing extinction as a species," she stated bluntly. "Every day we delay gives them more time to prepare their next offensive." President Davis cast the deciding vote after polling every member of the Emergency Council. Project Thunderbolt is hereby authorized for immediate deployment. Captain Turner, how long until your soldiers can be in position for the New Geneva mission? Turner snapped to attention with a crisp salute. 48 hours, Madam President. The drop corps has been ready for combat deployment since the first reports of alien contact. As the council members filed out of the secure briefing room, Senator Morgan approached Director Kim with obvious reluctance. "I want complete records of every aspect of this program delivered to the Senate Intelligence Committee within 72 hours, she demanded. Kim nodded respectfully. "Of course, Senator. Assuming we survive the next few weeks, full disclosure will be provided according to your security clearance level." The final decision had been made, and humanity's secret weapon was about to face its first real test against an enemy that had never known defeat. The stealth ship TFS Shadowhawk drifted silently through the outer edge of the New Geneva system, like a predator stalking its prey. Lieutenant Colonel Greg Stone stood in the drop bay, watching his soldiers perform final equipment checks on their midnight black-powered armor. Each suit represented 15 years of human ingenuity and alien technology working together to create something that could fight the Zephyrians on equal terms. Major Kelly Foster moved between the soldiers of Bravo Battalion, inspecting weapon systems and personal shield generators with the eye of a veteran who had trained for this moment since the program began. Her own armor gleamed under the red combat lighting, its surface covered with sensor arrays and targeting systems that would have seemed like magic to soldiers from an earlier era. Sergeant Danny Cooper adjusted his helmet display as the mission countdown entered its final hour. Through the neural interface, he could access tactical maps of New Geneva, showing Zephyrian positions based on intelligence gathered from escaped prisoners. The aliens had established mining operations throughout the colony, using human captives as slave labor, while their technology stripped the planet of valuable resources. The drop pods hung in their launch, tubes like metallic seeds waiting to be scattered across an alien-occupied world. Each pod could carry one fully equipped drop corps soldier through atmospheric entry, while avoiding the sensor networks that the Zephyrians had established around the planet. Lieutenant Colonel Stone activated the command channel to address his 2 battalions. "Remember your training," Stone told his soldiers over the encrypted communication system. "These aliens have never faced an enemy that could match their technology. They expect us to fight like regular humans with conventional weapons. We are going to teach them that Earth has learned some new tricks during their occupation." The drop began at exactly 0200 hours during New Geneva's 18-hour night cycle. 100 drop pods launched from the Shadowhawk in carefully calculated trajectories that would scatter the soldiers across a 100-kilometer radius around the main alien installations. Cooper felt his stomach lurch as his pod accelerated away from the ship and began its screaming descent through the planet's atmosphere. The stealth coating on the drop pods absorbed most sensor pings while they're silent. Maneuvering thrusters allowed for precision landings in areas that the orbital reconnaissance had identified as suitable for covert insertion. Cooper's pod touched down in a forest of native trees that had somehow survived the alien occupation, their purple leaves providing cover as he emerged from his landing vehicle. First contact with Zephyrian forces occurred 30 minutes after the drop, when Corporal Janet Price's squad encountered an alien patrol near the old mining complex. The 4-armed insect creatures moved with mechanical precision along a patrol route they had obviously walked many times before. Their confidence evaporated when human soldiers emerged from shadows wearing armor they had never encountered. Lieutenant Paul Martinez coordinated the ambush with hand signals transmitted directly through the neural link system. His soldiers moved like ghosts through the alien patrol formation, their enhanced speed and stealth capabilities allowing them to get within striking distance before the Zephyrians realized they were under attack. The battle lasted less than 2 minutes. Cooper watched through his helmet display as the alien weapons proved less effective against Dropcore's armor than they had been against regular human equipment. The sonic blasters that had shattered buildings during the initial invasion barely registered on his personal shield system. More importantly, the experimental human weapons actually damaged Zephyrian armor when fired with proper targeting data. Staff Sergeant Kevin Ross led a team that discovered a Zephyrian hover tank parked near a processing facility. The massive vehicle represented technology far beyond anything humanity had previously encountered, but the Dropcore's soldiers had trained extensively on captured alien equipment. Ross placed shaped charges at critical points while his teammates provided overwatch, and within minutes, the tank was nothing but burning wreckage. The aliens responded to these attacks with confusion rather than the overwhelming force they had used against regular human troops. Captain Susan Clark's specialists managed to hack into a Zephyrian communication relay and discovered that the enemy commanders were reporting unknown hostiles with advanced capabilities rather than identifying the attackers as human forces. Major Foster coordinated strikes against supply convoys and communication posts throughout the night. Each successful mission providing valuable intelligence about Zephyrian tactics and technology. Her soldiers captured weapons, armor samples, and data storage devices that would give human scientists their first detailed look at the technology that had made these aliens masters of the galaxy. The psychological impact of the attacks became apparent when intercepted alien communications showed panic spreading through the Zephyrian command structure. For 2 centuries, they had conquered species after species without ever facing significant resistance. The idea that their primitive human slaves had somehow acquired advanced military capabilities was beyond their understanding. Lieutenant Colonel Stone established a temporary command post in the ruins of the old colonial administration building, using its underground levels to coordinate the expanding operation. Dr. Amanda Stone, found alive in a Zephyrian research facility, provided crucial intelligence about alien mining operations and the locations where human prisoners were being held. The freed scientists worked with Dropcore's technical specialists to analyze captured Zephyrian equipment. Their technology is incredibly advanced, she explained to Stone during a hurried briefing, but it's also standardized across their entire empire. They haven't had to innovate or adapt their equipment for centuries because nothing has ever challenged their technological superiority. Captain Larry Johnson's team infiltrated the main processing plant, where nearly 10,000 human prisoners were forced to work in terrible conditions. The facility was guarded by massive crab-like creatures called hegmarks that served as overseers for the Zephyrian military. Johnson's soldiers eliminated the guards with precision strikes. Before beginning the complex process of evacuating the captives, Sergeant Michelle Taylor led rescue operations at 3 detention centers, freeing hundreds of colonists who had been marked for transport to other Zephyrian worlds. The rescued humans provided detailed intelligence about alien security procedures and the location of their command centers. Many of the prisoners had been scientists and engineers, whose knowledge would prove valuable in the coming battle. As dawn approached on New Geneva, the Dropcore soldiers had accomplished more in one night than human forces had managed since the war began. They had proven that Zephyrian forces could be defeated by properly equipped and trained soldiers. More importantly, they had captured enough alien technology and intelligence to begin planning larger operations. The aliens were learning that their human prey had developed teeth and claws of their own. The Dropcores had sent a clear message that Earth would not accept defeat quietly. For the first time since the invasion began, human forces had drawn alien blood and lived to fight another day. The thunder from the sky had announced humanity's entry into a new phase of warfare, and the Zephyrians were about to discover that their empire was no longer invincible. Dr. Helen Murphy worked frantically in the temporary laboratory established in the underground command center, surrounded by captured Zephyrian technology that would have been considered impossible just weeks earlier. The alien equipment hummed, with energy patterns that human science was only beginning to understand. But Murphy had made a breakthrough that could change the entire war. Their shield systems operate on harmonic frequencies, she explained to Major Tony Adams as he coordinated the expanded liberation operation. If we can generate the right interference patterns, we can disrupt their defensive capabilities long enough for our weapons to penetrate their armor. Adams studied the technical readouts with growing excitement as he realized what this discovery meant for human forces. 5 additional Drop Corps battalions had deployed across New Geneva during the past 72 hours, bringing the total human force to 700 elite soldiers equipped with the most advanced technology Earth had ever produced. Each battalion had specific targets based on intelligence gathered during the initial reconnaissance missions. The aliens were about to face a coordinated assault, unlike anything in their centuries of conquest. Captain Larry Johnson's Alpha Company moved through the industrial district, where Zephyrian processing facilities worked around the clock to strip valuable minerals from the planet's crust. The alien overseers had grown careless after weeks of unopposed occupation, never imagining that their human slaves might have rescue forces capable of challenging their technological superiority. Sergeant Michelle Taylor led her squad through the ventilation systems of the main detention facility, using blueprints provided by freed prisoners to navigate the complex maze of corridors and security checkpoints. Her armor's stealth systems rendered her nearly invisible to Zephyrian sensors, while her enhanced strength allowed her to move through spaces that would have been impossible for normal soldiers. The coordinated assault began at exactly midnight, local time, with simultaneous strikes against communication hubs, power generation stations, and command centers throughout the occupied zone. Captain Stephen Young's demolition specialists used shaped charges designed specifically to disrupt alien technology, creating cascading failures in the Zephyrian infrastructure that left entire sectors without power or communication. Major Adams watched from his command post as the alien response revealed critical weaknesses in their military doctrine. The Zephyrians had become so accustomed to technological superiority that they had never developed tactics for fighting an enemy with comparable capabilities. Their formations were designed for overwhelming primitive opponents rather than engaging in complex tactical situations. Lieutenant Colonel Carol White planned the assault on the primary alien base with the precision of a master chess player, using captured intelligence to identify the exact location of command centers and defensive systems. Her soldiers moved like shadows through the alien compound, eliminating sentries and disabling security networks before the defenders realized they were under attack. Colonel Eric Powell, commanding the overall ground operation, exploited the psychological advantage that human forces had gained over their alien opponents. The Zephyrians had never faced an enemy that could appear anywhere on the battlefield within hours, strike with devastating precision, and disappear before effective counterattacks could be organized. The liberation of the prison camps proceeded with mechanical efficiency as Drop Corps soldiers eliminated alien guards and led thousands of human captives to safety. Many of the prisoners had been scientists, engineers, and military personnel whose knowledge proved invaluable in planning the final phase of the operation. Dr. Amanda Stone worked alongside the Drop Corps' technical specialists to analyze the massive quantities of alien equipment that had been captured during the liberation. Their technology is incredibly sophisticated, she reported to Colonel Powell during a tactical briefing, but it's also completely standardized. They haven't needed to innovate for so long that their systems have become predictable. The commander, a towering insect creature with 4 arms and compound eyes, finally realized the scope of the human threat when his communication arrays began failing throughout the occupied territory. His attempts to coordinate a counterattack were hampered by the systematic destruction of his infrastructure and the apparent ability of human forces to predict his tactical moves. Captain Jennifer Clark led sabotage teams that infiltrated the alien spaceport and disabled the crystalline ships that had seemed so invincible during the initial invasion. Using Dr. Murphy's harmonic disruption technology, her soldiers were able to overload the alien shield generators and plant charges in critical systems. The final battle for New Geneva's capital city demonstrated humanity's completely new approach to warfare against technologically superior opponents. Instead of meeting the aliens' overwhelming firepower with similar force, the drop corps used speed, stealth, and precise coordination to systematically dismantle the enemy's ability to fight effectively. Sergeant Danny Cooper led his squad in a running battle through the city streets, using the urban environment to negate the aliens' technological advantages. The Zephyrian weapons that had been so devastating against fixed positions proved less effective against highly mobile targets that could use cover and concealment to avoid direct confrontation. The human prisoners who had been freed during the early phases of the liberation joined the final assault under the leadership of surviving colonial militia officers, armed with captured alien weapons and supported by drop corps soldiers. They fought with the desperate fury of people defending their homes and families. Major Kelly Foster coordinated the assault on the Alien Command Center, a massive crystalline structure that had been built on the ruins of the colonial government building. Her soldiers used experimental weapons that combined human engineering with captured alien technology to breach defenses that should have been impregnable. As the battle reached its climax, the Zephyrian commander attempted to call for reinforcements from other occupied systems, only to discover that all communication arrays had been systematically destroyed by human sabotage teams. His ships were disabled, his command structure was in chaos, and his soldiers were facing an enemy they could not understand or defeat. The liberation of New Geneva ended with the capture of the Alien Command Center and the surrender of the remaining Zephyrian forces. For the first time in their species' history, the aliens found themselves prisoners of a supposedly inferior race that had somehow acquired the capability to defeat their advanced military technology. Colonel Jake Morrison, who had survived the initial invasion as a prisoner in the alien labor camps, stood in the ruins of his former headquarters as human flags were raised over the liberated colony. The drop corps soldiers had accomplished something that had seemed impossible just months earlier. They had defeated a technologically superior alien force and reclaimed human territory. The victory at New Geneva sent shockwaves throughout both human and Zephyrian space. Humanity had proven that the alien empire was not invincible, while the Zephyrians faced the terrifying realization that their centuries of easy conquest were over. Earth's elite soldiers had sent a message that would be heard across the galaxy. Humanity would not go quietly into extinction, and any species that threatened human worlds would face the thunder from the sky. The victory celebration in New Geneva's Central Plaza was unlike anything the colony had ever witnessed. Thousands of liberated prisoners stood alongside drop corps soldiers as human flags flew from buildings that had been under alien occupation just days before. Colonel Jake Morrison, his uniform still bearing the scars of captivity, watched with tears in his eyes as children played in streets that had been patrolled by insect-like alien guards. Captain Lisa Brooks supervised the installation of hybrid defense systems that combined human engineering with captured Zephyrian technology. The new orbital platforms incorporated alien systems and targeting systems that made them far more effective than the previous installations. When a Zephyrian scout fleet attempted to retake the system 3 days after the liberation, her improved defenses destroyed the entire alien force without losing a single human ship. Dr. Helen Murphy worked around the clock in laboratories filled with alien technology that human scientists were reverse engineering at an unprecedented pace. We're learning more about advanced physics in weeks than we discovered in the previous century, She reported to the research teams that had been flown in from Earth. The captured Zephyrian equipment was revealing secrets that would revolutionize human technology. President Michelle Davis announced the expansion of the Dropcore program from the steps of the Global Defense Headquarters, with news cameras broadcasting her words to every human world. The liberation of New Geneva has proven that no alien empire can stand against the determination of free human beings, she declared. We are immediately opening recruitment centers on every major world to train a new generation of elite soldiers. General Frank Rodriguez presented the new strategic doctrine to military commanders across human space, emphasizing the lessons learned from the New Geneva operation. We cannot match the aliens ship for ship or gun for gun, he explained, but we can outfight them by using mobility, innovation, and the one thing they have forgotten, after centuries of easy victories, the will to adapt and overcome. The psychological impact of humanity's victory rippled through Zephyrian space, like a shockwave through their crystalline ships. Intelligence reports, intercepted by human listening posts, revealed panic spreading through the alien military hierarchy. For the first time in over 2 centuries of expansion, the Zephyrian Empire had suffered a major defeat at the hands of a species they had dismissed as primitively armed and technologically inferior. Major Tony Adams led the interrogation teams that questioned captured Zephyrian officers, learning crucial details about alien military doctrine and territorial holdings. They have grown so confident in their superiority that they never developed contingency plans for facing competent opposition, he reported to the intelligence analysts. Their entire strategy is based on overwhelming technological advantage. The expansion of human military capabilities proceeded with remarkable speed as factories across Earth and its colonies began producing drop cores, equipment based on the hybrid technology developed from captured alien devices. Captain Alex Turner oversaw training programs that transformed ordinary soldiers into elite warriors capable of fighting enemies with superior weapons and armor. Dr. Amanda Stone worked with the newly established Alien Technology Research Division, analyzing every piece of captured Zephyrian equipment to understand the scientific principles behind their advanced capabilities. Their energy weapons operate on quantum field manipulation, she explained to the research teams, and their shields use gravitational distortion fields that we're only beginning to understand. The liberation of other occupied human colonies began with systematic precision as Drop Corps forces deployed across the frontier. Major Kelly Foster led the assault on Harvest Moon, an agricultural world that had fallen during the initial Zephyrian offensive. Her soldiers used tactics developed at New Geneva to eliminate alien occupation forces and free thousands of human prisoners. Captain Stephen Young coordinated supply operations that kept the expanding Drop Corps battalions equipped with the hybrid weapons and armor that had proven so effective against Zephyrian technology. Manufacturing centers worked at maximum capacity to produce personal shields, powered exoskeletons, and the harmonic disruptor weapons that could penetrate alien defenses. The Zephyrian response to human resistance evolved from confident dismissal to desperate counterattacks as more colonies were liberated by Drop Corps forces. Alien commanders who had never faced effective opposition began making tactical errors born of fear and confusion. Their standardized equipment and doctrine, which had served them well against primitive opponents, proved inadequate against innovative human tactics. Lieutenant Colonel Carol White established the Advanced Tactics School, where human officers studied captured Zephyrian strategic documents to better understand alien military thinking. They fight like a species that has never known defeat, she explained to her students. Their formations and procedures assume that their enemies will be paralyzed by technological terror. The intelligence gathered from multiple liberation campaigns revealed the true scope of the Zephyrian Empire and the location of their primary military bases. Colonel Eric Powell coordinated deep reconnaissance missions that gathered strategic intelligence about alien industrial capacity and fleet dispositions. The information would be crucial for planning larger offensive operations. Sergeant Danny Cooper, now promoted to lieutenant for his actions during the New Geneva campaign, led training exercises for newly recruited Drop Corps soldiers. The program had expanded from 8 battalions to over 50 as volunteers flowed in from across human space. Each new soldier received 5 years of compressed training using neural enhancement, technology developed from alien brain interface systems. The psychological warfare aspect of human resistance proved as important as the technological advances. Zephyrian forces throughout their empire began reporting encounters with ghost soldiers who appeared without warning, struck with devastating precision, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The myth of alien invincibility crumbled. As news of human victory spread, Captain Jennifer Clark commanded the first full-scale offensive against Zephyrian military base, leading 3 Drop Corps battalions in an assault that had seemed impossible just months earlier. The base fell within 6 hours, its alien defenders unable to cope with human tactics that combined superior mobility with weapons that could actually damage their supposedly invincible technology. The war had entered a new phase that neither species had anticipated. The Zephyrian Empire, accustomed to easy conquest, faced an enemy that refused to accept defeat and had the technological capability to fight back effectively. Human forces, once helpless against alien superiority, had evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. As the story reached its crescendo, massive human fleets approached the next occupied system with their holds filled with Drop Corps soldiers, ready to continue the liberation. The battle that had seemed lost at New Geneva had become the beginning of humanity's greatest military campaign. Earth's elite forces had sent a message that would echo across the stars. When humanity's children were threatened, the sky itself would rain warriors ready to fight impossible odds and emerge victorious. The Zephyrian Empire was learning that their newest enemy possessed something their previous victims had lacked: the ability to adapt, overcome, and strike back with devastating effectiveness. The thunder from the sky had become humanity's signature, and every alien world that held human prisoners would soon hear its approach.